everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Shannon and this is my YouTube channel, Whiskyandwool. This is my Knitters Live series, season 5, episode something or other. Might be 14 or 15, I do not recall. Just went out of my head. Yeah, anyway, hope you're doing well. It is first weekend of October. And we're having a balmy day here in New Jersey, northern New Jersey, where I live, right across the Hudson River from New York City. Probably saw a little clip of New York. I often walk along the cliffside, and I've recently found easy access to the shoreline, the Hudson River shoreline. So I've been taking walks down there sometimes. So anyway, you probably got a couple clips, or maybe at least one, or there'll be more at the end. It is in the 80s today. Can't believe it's October and low 80s. It's very warm. But all is well, and I hope you also are doing well, or as well as can be expected. I hope you have some cozy knitting time coming up for you in the next week or so. I'm going to talk to you today about my knitting, get you caught up on my projects, and I have a bumper crop of spinning this time. I made some bats, so you're going to see that. I have a little bit about that. I did film some process of the bats. I don't know if I have footage of me actually making bats using a hand carder. I just want to make sure I'm using the right term. Yes, a blending board, that's the name of it. I have a small blending board where I can make about 20 to 25 gram mini bats. But you know, 4 of those and you have 100 grams. So yeah, I don't think I have footage of me actually carding the fleece onto the board, but I took some pictures of the process, and then I'll show you the finished yarn. And yeah, I've just been spinning up a storm. I actually have a really awesome book I've been listening to, an audiobook, and it's kept me at the spinning wheel longer than normal. So I feel like I have extra hand spinning. Not the least of which is this sweater. So this is the Ranunculus sweater. I made it many years ago, and this was among some of the first handspun that I knit into a sweater, into a finished object. It is a silk wool blend, and yeah, I think I probably spun it in 2019 or 2020. I learned how to spin in 2019, so I spun it maybe within 6 months or so, and then knitted into a ranunculus later on that probably that spring, whatever the next spring was, spring 2020. Anyway, it's cozy and comfortable. It's a really warm day, as I said, so this is like really nice for this. But this is real light and breezy. The Ranunculus, if you're not familiar, I feel like everyone has made it. There's probably like 10,000 projects on Ravelry by now. It's a very loose knit, so I think you knit on US size 9 or 8 or 9. Real big needles for fingering weight or sport weight. I think this ended up being sport weight. So enough about that. We'll talk about what Martha's wearing when I get to my whips, but I first have a finished object to show you. This is the Always and Forever Unicorn sweater by, you would think I would have a cheat sheet, but I don't. Always and Forever Unicorn sweater by Wool & Beyond. So I'm gonna stop. Yeah, so I made this for my granddaughter Julie. She's turning 5 in 10 days, basically. And I'm gonna be visiting her for her birthday weekend, and yeah, just really love it. I got inspired about a month ago to make it for her. I'll bring it closer so you can see. It's really cute. It's top down it's meant to be seamless. You're meant to do, it's intarsia, but you're meant to do it intarsia in the round. And I did intarsia in the round on another sweater less than a year ago. And I didn't really enjoy it, and I thought it would look better than it did, but there was definitely, you could see where you turned around, because you end up like knitting this way and then that way. If you're knitting in the round, so you go back and forth. So, and it just, I didn't like the way it functioned. So this is a true intarsia after the horn and ear. So the horn and ear I did stranded, and I have some floats going across. I guess I could have done intarsia. I would have had a bobbin for the horn and then a bobbin for the ear, and then they would have become one here. I ended up doing that for the neck. I had a bobbin for the face and then a bobbin for the neck. The other thing about the sweater, I did modify it in a couple different ways. I raised the front neck drop by an inch. It was meant to be a lower neck, but this is plenty low. I mean, Julie's not here, so I can't put it on and make sure it fits well, but this is like really a lot of a scoop already. I probably could have raised it another inch and it would have been fine. But yeah, we'll see how it looks on her. It'll probably be like pretty low, like probably it won't be up here. It'll be here on her. The other thing I did, because it's intarsia in the round, you're meant to continue the unicorn body on the back, and I didn't do that. So like the unicorn body ends right here and gradually goes down, and there's also fringe that you would put all the way along the unicorn's neck, and I just didn't want to do that. I thought the front was plenty of intarsia, and I didn't need that also on the back. So because I didn't want to do that, I also just went ahead and mattress stitched the side seams. I made side seams. So I knit the front and back, although they were attached at the top on the shoulder seam, it's a really nice shoulder seam construction. This shoulder seam ends up being dropped back a bit like that, so it's across the back. And yeah, so I knit the back all the way down to I didn't do the rib because I wasn't sure how long the front was going to be. So I knit the back first, put it on holder, then I knit the front. And when I got to the bottom of the chart, I stopped and just evaluated where I was and was the length going to be good. My granddaughter's tall for her age, so I made it a little longer than was called for her size. This is the size 6-7. I'm not sure I have the sleeves long enough, but I have extra yarn, plenty of extra yarn. So I'm going to bring it with me. So if I have to rip back the sleeves a bit and lengthen them, that'll be fairly easy, I think. But I do think the length itself of the sweater is going to be long enough for her. My son and daughter-in-law asked me to make it big on the big side so she could wear it for a couple years. So hopefully it'll do her well. You do end up embroidering the eye afterwards. I did it kind of rustic, purposefully, like different lash sizes and stuff to just make it seem a little more organic. And you also just thread these strands of yarn on for the mane. So I had some pink and green handspun that I had used in a project, and so I had a little bit of leftover, so I just used that, and then I just trimmed it to size. But yeah, I'm super happy with this. I think it's amazing. So let me tell you about the yarn that I used. I used Seine's Garn Double Sunday. I really, really like this yarn. I'm glad I got a chance to use it before our tariffs kicked in and the price goes up. So yeah, Seine's Garn Double Sunday. It ended up being a petite knit color. I just looked at, there's a local to me, not too far from me, about an hour away, yarn shop called Mother Knitter, and I went onto their online shop and looked at all the colors of Santa's Garn that they had, and this minty green was the color that I wanted to use, and then I knew I wanted to use just their white for the unicorn color. So yeah, this is called Mint, and it is in the petite knit colors. If you're not familiar, petite knit is a designer, a Danish designer who, she's probably the most well-known designer everywhere, but definitely in Europe. Very prolific designer. So yeah, that is the Always and Forever by Wool and Beyond. Okay, so moving on. Let's talk about what Martha's wearing. These are my whips now. Martha is wearing the Seine, River Seine, as in River Seine. Am I saying that correctly? Seine sweater? I think so. By Marie Regnier. Again, American speaking French. It's gonna be bad. It's just gonna be bad. I'm sorry. I hope you can allow me some grace. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, like, you wouldn't believe how many comments YouTubers get about the way they pronounce things. So anyway, okay. This is the sand sweater, and I am in the home stretch. I'm on the sleeves. Almost done with this sleeve, actually. I think I counted that I need 11 stripes, and I think I have 9. I'm on my 9th stripe, so I have 2 more stripes, and then I'll do the folded hem. So the neckband, the bottom, and the sleeve cuffs all have this double knit hem, which, yeah, I like. I think the little bit of like gathering in is going to disappear when I block this. The yarn is also some imported yarn that I managed to get my hands on before the tariffs kicked in, and I would have paid 20, 30, 40, 50% more. So it is Fleece and Flax, 75% BFL, 25% linen by Sonder Yarn Company. I'm using the colorway Clean Slate and Wake Up. So Clean Slate is the natural, and then Wake Up is this golden yellow. I really, really like the yarn. I love this sweater and yarn combo. This could be like a desert island yarn for me, I think. I really, really love it. I really love linen though. And I feel, I did knit with a linen wool blend from the Pearl Soho linen quill. Has a little bit of alpaca in it too though, and alpaca's a short fiber, so when I knit a sweater out of that, it looked real shabby because it just pilled a lot. Short fibers will pill quite a lot compared to, like, BFL is a long fiber and linen's a long fiber, so I don't know that I'll get pilling with this, but all sweaters pill. That's what shavers are for. But yeah, this has been really fun. It's been a really interesting, fun knit. I'm looking forward to wearing it. It's perfect for this time of year, I think, where we like a couple days ago, yesterday and the day before, it was high, it was in the 50s and 60s Fahrenheit, and today it's 80. Tomorrow it's 80, then later on in the week it's going to go back down again into the 40s and 50s. So this is really great for this type of weather. Like, pop this over a button down or something, and I'd be, work ready. I did do a couple modifications, which I've been talking about as I've gone along on it. One of them is that I did more rapid increases in the raglan. It's a raglan construction top down. You do this like really easy to memorize cable stitch pattern through the top yoke, and then you begin a stripe pattern. It's based on the Breton sweater, which is a popular sweater that it began like being worn by French Navy personnel, the men on ships, or the men and women on ships, and then became adopted by as often happens with garb that's worn by the Navy or armies of different countries. Like, it became adopted in mainstream, and it's an iconic French pattern now, French layout, where it's like this solid yoke with a striped body and then striped sleeves. So anyway, I have made enough raglan sweaters in my time that have not fit me properly, because my probably my cross chest measurement, this measurement right here, is bigger than my, or broader, like I'm just broad right here. So whenever I make the traditional like sort of Scandi style raglan, where it's like do your increases every other row, so increase 1 stitch at each raglan, so you get 8 stitches around every other row, is not a rapid enough increase for me. It always ends up being a little too snug here, and then the whole sweater will hike up, and I'll end up with like the collar sitting up here on my neck instead of sitting down here, or like just this extra fabric and stuff like kind of gathered up here, because the whole sweater has to move up so that it can fit this part of my body. So because of that, every time I make a raglan, I double the increases. So I do 16 increases around every other round. So I'll do 2. I'll just make 2 in the spot where the pattern says to make 1. And I've learned that I can't increase fast enough that way. Like, it does not matter what the stitch count is at the neck versus what the stitch count is down at the chest. It does not matter. All I need to do is get those increases in as quickly as possible. And I'm working on another raglan right now, and I'm doing the exact same thing. So I just do 2 where the pattern says to do 1. So 16 all the way around at each seam, 2 at each seam, 4 at each seam. Until I'm done with the increases, then I just knit straight. So what'll happen is that I'll end up with more of this shape instead of this shape on my raglan increases, and I end up at the same stitch count. It's just that I get there faster, and that gives me the extra width that I need in this part right across here. This was one that was really big, so I didn't have any trouble with it. Well, I think this is a round yoke technically. Round yokes tend to always increase a little more rapidly, I think, than raglans. So if you struggle with raglan fits and you notice that a little bit of what I'm describing, where your whole, like, the other thing that will happen, what I find with the increase every other round, is that by doing that, to get to the stitches that I need in the, once you join the front and back, once you separate for the sleeves, to get to that stitch count, I may end up with a really draggy, long, extra long armhole. So this just avoids all of that. I'm able to make the armhole exactly to where I'd like it to be, which for me is around 9 inches for a raglan. And I'm able to, or 8.5 even I could do, and I get the measurements that I need both on the upper arm and on my upper chest. So it's win-win for me. The other modification I did was that the pattern doesn't call for any decreases on the sleeve. You're meant to just knit the sleeve straight, and the sleeve is quite big. So it's like pretty roomy around my arm anyway. And I don't like a whole big, like, so it would have been like a real big, like, like hanging down here, kind of droopy, very droopy sort of sleeve. And I don't like that, because when you go to reach for something, you end up dragging your sleeve through like the cake frosting that's sitting on the table as you reach across, or something like that, or run it through dip, or I just don't want to worry about that stuff. So I went ahead and started to just do decreases every 8th round, and I'm gonna just keep decreasing until I get to the hem. It's still quite big though, you can see, like, here, let's see if I can show you. See, like, so on my wrist, so I'm like pretty close to the bottom, but you can see how big it is, right? Look at all that space. So it's not the typical, like, typical would be more like that, yeah. I'm sorry about that awkward angle. I hope you saw what I was trying to show you. So it's still going to be bigger than a normal size cuff, than like, you know, these snug little fitting cuffs like this. It's not this style. It's still going to have some sort of blousiness to it, but not as blousy as was intended by the designer, and I'm fine with that. But anyway, if you like that, go for it. You should do it. Definitely. Okay, next whip. I think I showed these last time. I'm not sure. I haven't done a episode of Knitter's Life in a while. But anyway, I'm working on a pair of socks, and I have a half finished object. So I have these. I think what I showed you last time was the yarn, actually. So I have one sock done. These are for my son, my daughter-in-law's father, my son's father-in-law. And I spun the yarn, fiber that I got in a D-stash. And it was a Hello Yarn. I have the bag right here. Actually, a Hello Yarn Targi Bamboo Tussa Silk Blend 80-10-10, which to me was just like a fantastic sock blend, all natural without, you know, any nylon. So it has a really nice hand. And what the fiber bag was 6 colors that were rust brown, dark green, this like limey citron color, and 2 shades of a pale blue. So I took 1 shade of those pale blues out, and you're going to see what I did with that later. When I show you the bats, I used it to make some bats. And I just did, because the 2 blues were so close, I didn't want to have like a really long, so you can see I spun it in a self-striping manner. I didn't want to have like a big long stretch of blue. This blue is definitely shorter than it would be, because this is, I knit the I should have told you the pattern, the Bear Paw by Andrea Mowry, but modified to be knit on a tighter needle, a 2.5 millimeter needle, instead of the 325 that she recommends in the pattern. I just like the feel of the fabric better, so I've modified the pattern to get the size that I want. And this is like a men's size 12 shoe, I think, is what the size that he wears. And so anyway, because it's the Bear Paw, it has, pattern is written for a Fleagle heel, so you're slowly increasing all the way through this section here. So the rounds get bigger and bigger, so the stripes get narrower. But otherwise, I probably would have had enough blue to do a comparable size stripe to these. I decided to do the darker colors for the toe, though, because I just figured it's just going to be better for a guy. And then when I got to the second repeat, I didn't end up using all the blue, because I was like, well, this is plenty long. I didn't want to make the man knee socks, you know, so to make it a nice crew sock size, I think that's good. So the way I spun the yarn, I think you'll see it better on this second skein. I knew I was going to make socks. I knew I was making self-striping socks. So I split the fiber so that I could have 2 skeins that would repeat in a similar fashion. I mean, I don't know that my second sock is going to stripe exactly like this. It's going to stripe in this direction, but I don't know that I'll get the exact same number of rounds per color as I did. Who knows? But I spun each skein to be 3 repeats. So in this, I didn't even use 2 full repeats. So I do have quite a bit left of the second repeat. So these I could potentially make a pair for Julie, for my granddaughter. And then this is the second skein for the second sock, which I've cast on, but I haven't gotten too far. I just started the toe. Literally I have about a half an inch of the toe here. So you do a Turkish cast on and some increases on 4 increases around for a certain number of times depending on the size you're doing, and then knit straight, and then you go into the 2x2 rib pattern that the sock is. What I think that between the Fleagle and the 2x2 rib, it ends up being like a very forgiving fit. So I find that this pattern is really great for gift socks. And I've told, this is the third pair of socks I've made for my son's father-in-law. So I'm spending Christmas this year with him. So this is typically, I mean, what do you get a guy who's like got everything? It's really hard. So I asked them if they thought, if he likes the socks that I've made him, and would he like another pair this year, and they both said yes. So yeah, that's he's the only one I'm making socks for this year for Christmas, I think. I may end up making some for Julie just because she's small and it's easy to knit for her. But anyway, yeah, those are my bear paw socks. Christmas gift, almost done. These have just been flying off the needles too. Not because so much that I am knitting on them all that much, but these are I use that small pattern, or this small project, to take around with me when I go out. So this would like go in my handbag when I go out, whether I'm going to work or whether I'm going to hang out with friends or whatever. So if I can sneak in a little knitting time, maybe on the bus, or when I'm sitting in traffic and stuff like that. So I don't know. I've been working on, it's been a long time since I've made socks. I haven't made any socks this year, except for, I think I made some early in the year when I was just wrapping up my Christmas knitting. Yeah. But the last 2 years I made socks for Christmas for everyone in my family, my immediate family, and it was a lot of socks. I enjoyed it, but last year it started to get a little grindy, so which is why this year I was like, I'm not going to do that. They may get other hand knit things. I might make some hats or stuff like that. Those are pretty easy. I know one of my sons could really use another hat because he had a moth problem, the dreaded moths. I have one other whip, which if you saw my recent cast on with me, you'll know what this is. I've made a little bit of progress. I was actually knitting on it this morning, just really enjoying knitting, and I made myself stop so that I could record this video. This is Vintage Flannel by Anna Johanna, and it is a raglan, top-down raglan sweater, all over color work that you do this plaid, two-color plaid stitch all over, and it has a graphic right across the front right here. I'm actually not too far from it. I have to do 2 of the plaid repeats, and I'm almost halfway. I'm 1 round away from being halfway through the second repeat. Once I finish the second repeat, I then will start the graphic, and it says the word knit in like a pretty font, and then on the back it says purl down by the hip. So I just thought it was real cute. It's been on my list for quite some time. In fact, I bought the white yarn in January, knowing that this was something that I wanted to make. I've had the blue yarn. Blue yarn is part of some of my stash. It's been in my stash for quite some time. It is a Jill Draper Make Stuff yarn called, whoops, that's the white, Ansel, I think is the base name. Yeah, Ansel. In the colorway Sapphire 2. It's a fingering weight, super fine merino. Jill, if you're not familiar, she is, I would probably say she's an indie wool broker because she doesn't have her own farm, but she buys sheep from farmers that she knows, and she works out of upstate New York in Kingston. And she, she makes yarn. She takes the wool to a mill and has the mill make yarn to her specifications. So this is one of her fingering weight yarns. She's got some DK and some worsted weights as well, different names of lines. She's been in business for a real long time. Her yarn is gorgeous. It's all non-superwash, and it's really this whole idea of like sheep to skein, where it's just, yeah, that sort of process where you're really supporting local farmers like upstate New York, and maybe even broader, for more beyond. And I'm not sure what mill she gets her stuff spun in. I think it said it's made in Vermont. Spun in Vermont, which might mean it's Green Mountain Spinnery. Oh, it doesn't say. Does not say. And then she hand dyes the wool after she gets it back from the mill. And she uses only red, yellow, and blue dyes to make the beautiful rainbow of yarn colors that you'll see. She is very close to where Rhinebeck, New York Sheep and Wool is. And she usually has a party, an event the weekend of New York Sheep and Wool in the evening after New York Sheep and Wool closes. That's really nice, where you can buy her yarn, see her studio, and buy her yarn. I highly recommend it if you're going to New York Sheep and Wool and you want to pick up some of her gorgeous yarn. The white is also pretty cool and interesting yarn. I bought it at Vogue Knitting Live. It was made in a similar fashion to Jill Draper's yarn, and that Lisa of India Untangled brokered the yarn, like got the yarn, had it made and all of that. This yarn is 100% debonnaire, which is a fiber that you don't hear a lot about, so I imagine it's a rare sheep. It was grown in Montana, and it was milled by Clara Parks. So Clara actually just determined the specifications of the yarn, which I think is pretty cool. It is a fingering weight. Yeah, that's about all I can tell you. But this has been a real enjoyable knit. Every time I pick it up, it's really hard to make myself put it down. So I've been trying to make myself do this because I'm close to finishing this, so I want to finish that. So this has been, I haven't made as much progress on this as I would like, and I'm using decided that it was time to bust out the Halloween bags. I have so many Halloween bags. I should probably put this in a Halloween bag as well, so I can enjoy it. But Fat Squirrel Fibers, she's got a bag line. She has been doing like a shop update, I think, about every other week. She had some Halloween prints in her last shop update. I haven't kept up with her YouTube the past week or two. I've been really busy, had a very busy social life, so it's been really hard to record and keep up with some of my favorite YouTubers. But yeah, highly recommend her bags. I love them. Yeah, is that all my knitting? I think that's all my knitting. A lot of progress. I'm making a white and pink blanket, mostly white, but with sort of this subtle pink overtones. Let me grab it real quick. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I forgot about it. I haven't knit on it in a week or so, but I have a little over 2 feet now. So you see what I mean? It's actually very similar to the sweater color that I'm wearing, maybe a little more neutral than the sweater that I'm wearing, but so yeah, I love to knit my scraps into these big bulky blankets that are knit on 12mm needles in a 1x1 rib pattern. I chose, US size 17, I chose 1x1 because I like the blankets to be reversible. You could also do this garter stitch and it would be reversible, but I just like the look of this big chunky 1x1 rib. You could do 2x2 rib too, or 3x1. Those would also be, any rib stitch would probably be reversible, but 1x1 is just easy to manage for me. And the idea is that you hold what is the equivalent of 10 or 12 fingering strands together. In this case, I have a lot of DK, a lot of scraps of DK and worsted that are in this white and blush pink, beige color family, so I'm not holding quite as many strands because for every DK counts as 2 fingering. And then I also had a lot of dribs and drabs of white and pale pink mohair. So I have some of that running through it as well. So there's actually been mohair running through, and at times 2 strands of mohair running through the Scrappy blanket. But it's an awesome way to use up scraps. And what I've realized is that right now I have and single skeins. So like if you end up with, like, you buy 8 skeins of something for a sweater, yarn for a sweater, and then you end up only using 7, and you have this one random skein and you don't know what you're going to do with it. Once I got enough of those random single skeins that were in this color family, I just threw them into a basket and realized that I probably had enough to knit a lot of a blanket. So it turns out that I think I'm gonna have my finished size that I would like to have is 48 by 60 or so. That would be my finished size. So I think I have a little bit more than 2 feet right now, and it is 4 feet across. I realized that I don't have enough white yarn to make 60 inches. I have enough white yarn to get to at least 4 feet, maybe slightly more, maybe a little bit, like 4.5 feet. Then I'm going to need more white yarn. So I will definitely reach a point with this where this will sit while I wait to have more white yarn scraps to finish it, so that at least the colors are somewhat consistent with this. Like there will be moments, like especially if I work this in this there are moments of bright pink in here, and I have other bright pink scrappy yarns that I haven't knit in yet, but I will. But like, you know, it's crazy. Like this color is running through most of this, and you really don't notice it. It's a pretty dark, deep dark pink, but you don't really see it. When I joined that, I couldn't tell where I joined that. I mean, if I looked really closely and picked apart the strands, I could figure it out. But that's sort of the beauty of the multiple strands, is that you really end up, you're able to use colors, yarns, like lots of different yarns, to get an effect, an overall effect, which I really like. It's really fun. Yes. Okay, cool. Spinning. Let's look at spinning. So I have a clip of this next yarn to show you the process, talk you through a little bit of what I was thinking, and then when you come back, I'll show you the yarn. Okay, these are the 2 braids from Inglenook Fiber. I just laid them side by side so I could kind of get an idea of how the color was distributed on each of them and how different they are. Not really all that different. Maybe, you know, the pink's in a slightly different place, but it seems like the rest of the colors are lining up pretty true. So yeah, here's one end over here, green, and then the other end over here, also green. That's where the green and pink land. And then, so it goes from green to purpley with a splash of pink, then this lavender color into a deeper blue, and then a plum color, and then into a few shades of brown, then some gray, and back to the brown, and then back again. So here's what I think I'm gonna do. Let me shrink the screen a little bit so you can see a little better. I have 2 braids. They are 5.5 ounce each, maybe a little more. I didn't weigh them. It's fine. I trust them. If you can't trust a nun, I mean, who can you trust? Anyway, what I think I want to do is make this a self-striping ish yarn. It's not going to be as purely self-striping as the self-striping yarn that I probably just showed you last week, where I had fiber bumps that were distinct colors that went from one to the next. In this case, because there's some blending going on, as I'm drafting, I'm going to be blending the colors. Wherever there's a color change, there's going to be like a pretty big stretch that's also going to be blendy. So the whole thing will be kind of blendy, but what I was realizing is if I do end to end and then another end to end, I'm going to end up with the two deep blue ends with purple. Sorry, I have the window open, so I'll wait for that helicopter to pass. I live right near New York City, so there's lots of air traffic all the time. What I realized is that I would end up with this significant size blue, purple, green section, significant size of brown to gray, and then blue to green, and then the two blue to greens will back up to each other. So I don't think I want to do that. I think instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to split the roving in half, wherever the half is, so that I get blue and blue, green on either side, with a chunk of gray to brown on the other side. And then I'm going to turn them so that if I split this here, the blue will come in next after one repeat of the color. And then, so it'll be like one color repeat. So you can see, like, this is two color repeats, but they meet in the middle instead of being starting again at the beginning. So it goes in one direction and then it reverses direction to get the other way. So that will give me like this burst of bright with this neutral, then a burst of bright, and then a neutral, all in a single spin by like flipping it so that there is an actual repeat instead of a color and then reverse of the color. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And then the other thing that I'm going to do is, after I split them wherever the halfway point is, I'm going to then split them vertically. So I'll be opening up the braid or the roving and finding more or less like half and just like dividing it. I don't want to do this now because I don't know where it's going to actually end up splitting, but you end up dividing it so that there's 1 and 2. So then I'll end up with a total between the two braids. Each braid will have 4 pieces, so I'll have 8 pieces. And I'm going to make 4 skeins. So I should roughly get about 4 3-ounce skeins. I'm going to spin them all identically. One chunk, half, and the other half flipped around. 2 repeats of that. So, right? Yes, I think that would work. But I think it's going to be so pretty because I think in the knit it'll be like these glowy colors and then this neutral, this moody neutral, and then glowy colors and moody neutral in the way that it knits up. And I think that'll be so pretty. Anyway, stay tuned. Okay, I probably already told you what it is. So this is Inglenook fibers. And I ended up with 4 skeins of the wool. I caked one so you could see the way it would self-stripe. So that's what I got. Yeah, so I ended up splitting the braid where the gray section was. I probably already talked all about this in a very long and lengthy way, which I will edit to get it more of a repeat than I thought I would get if I just went to, so that the gray, it would be like the striping would be a little more even, so there'd be like a section that was bright colored and then a section that's neutral and then a section that's bright colored and then a section that's neutral. I really would love to see what this looks like knit into a sweater, but I regret the colors really aren't my colors. I'm not sad that I purchased it and spun it, because these colors will work on at least one of my sons, if not all of them, because they're dark-haired and dark-eyed, and their skin tones are quite different from mine. So, yeah. I know one in particular. His skin tones are, he's got a dark, he's got like a yellow, more on the yellow side of olive colored skin. And I know this will look great on him because like these blues, these shades of blue and purple just look amazing on him. So I don't know, maybe it's going to be something for him. I don't think I have enough to make a sweater though. It would be a color in, but I could make a scarf or shawl, neck wrap thing for him. I think I have about 700 yards, 6 and change. So not enough, not a sweater's quantity. And I chain plied. I think I probably talked about that in the clip. I chain plied it because I wanted to keep the colors lined up, just like I did on the sock yarn that I made. I have a couple other spins that I don't think I talked about. This is one of the Melly Knit bats, and I clipped the tag on the skein so you could see. The sheep was named Stannis Baratheon, and it's part what she calls her chaos bat, which means it is a chaos blend of the sheep plus some recycled sari silk, and in this case also alpaca. So 80% Shetland wool, Stannis Baratheon fine Shetland, and then 10% alpaca and 10% recycled silk. So you can see that, like those flecks of colors, it's really pretty. And this was a 100-gram skein that I just made a 2-ply, and it's really, really soft. It's really, really nice. I love Shetland. I love spinning Shetland. I love knitting with it. I sort of hoard my Shetland skeins, which is terrible. I have another skein of Shetland that's color-wise not that different from this. I think it leans more into like the autumnal colors, the other one, that I have been holding on to forever. Like every time it's time to knit, to pull together single skeins into making something, I always end up like just passing it by because I'm like, oh no, not that. I have to keep it. Silly, right? I just should spend more Shetland, and then I'd have more, and then it wouldn't feel so precious. I thought I'd do a little blending board fun today. This is the first time I'm using the blending board on a table. I really haven't had space before now. But in front of me is a whole big pile of fleece that I'm going to try to comb into, card into some small bats, mini bats, that I will then spin. So I have the Shetland that I washed my first time scouring, that I'm going to blend with this blue fleece here, which is a couple ounces, and then also this blue here. So it'll be primarily blue, but it's going to use that because this is only 30 grams. This is also 30 grams, and I think this is about 30 grams. So together it'll be a full skein, 100 grams. And then I have the Corriedale to try to comb out. This is 80 grams, so I'm going to add in, I'm going to add in some mohair that's in here. Okay, some mohair. This is from Shirtsy Cat's Design. I believe she's in New York State. I think I've seen her at Rhinebeck. But it's 100% mohair. And I purchased it just one, it's really, really pretty. The pink is super bright. I hope you're seeing it in this terrible lighting. Anyway, I thought it would be fun to take out about 20 grams of this and blend it with the white Corriedale for a nice soft pink toned blend that would probably be good for socks. So I actually don't know how big this, I don't know how many, you can see I bought it in 2023. Yeah, I don't know how much this is, but I had originally planned to blend this with these pink braids that also been around forever, but they're both Targhee. They're from the same dyer. I don't even know if she still makes fiber or yarn at all, Bay Street Yarns. haven't seen her on social media in a long time. But my plan was to put these two together with this. So I'm going to take 20 grams of this, add it to that. Then whatever's left will go there with those. So I wasn't going to make bats with this, but I think I'm going to do that. I do think I want to do that. So we'll see how much altogether, because these are 4 ounces each, so 8 ounces. And then I may or may not use whatever's left with that. I might just make about 20% of this and add it to those too. And that would be another nice sock blend or a fingering weight yarn or something. And then that is all my blending today. If I have the stamina to continue, I will be combing out this cashmere that I purchased. And then I also have some of the alpaca that I've scoured in case. I don't think I'm going to use it, but in case. So I'll show you some results. Oh, there's my Roo. There's my little boo. It's my silver cat. Looking for a good nap spot. Okay, my first batch is done. This is a little over 100 grams. I think it's about 120 grams. Yes? Yeah, maybe 115 grams or so of the Shetland blended with Targhee bamboo silk and some, I can't remember what this other one was, this like bright blue that I pulled out from my Advent from last year, my fiber Advent. So anyway, I think this will make a beautiful, beautiful skein. I'm gonna move on to the white and pink blending now and see how that goes. But yeah, so for 100 grams or so, I need to make 4 mini bats. Thought I'd give you a quick sneak peek at the before. So this is how much pink. It's 5 grams to 20 grams of white floof. And this is just, oh my gosh, the softest. This is gonna be fun. A little mid blending roll. So here's the finished bat. I've actually done 2. I've got 2 more to go. I've got 1 in the midst. So because I hand scoured and picked the Corriedale, it's a little like clumpy, but I'm not worried about it. I think in the spinning it'll work out. If I find down the road that it doesn't, then I will make a point of combing or dizzing maybe this first. I'm sure some of you are more experienced with this than me and could probably tell me what I should be doing. I also think, like, as I said maybe a couple episodes ago, that I felt this Corriedale somewhat. So there are some neps in there that there aren't any here. I've picked them out already, but there are occasional neps from felting it. But yeah, so this is the rest of the Corriedale and the rest of the mohair that's going into this. And then I've got 1 more bag of it. And then I figured out I need to make 12 mini bats with these 2 4-ounce braids and about 45 grams of mohair. That'll give me an 80-20 blend. And these 2 braids are both Targhee, so it'll be 80% Targhee, 20% mohair, which I think will be really nice. I love the colors. I mean, that mohair is just so vivid, and I think this roving will match it, and I also think this roving will blend a lot faster than what I'm currently doing, because this is just, a lot of, it's every which way, because I don't have a carding machine to straighten it all out. Here are my bats, then all the bats that I made on some Saturday late afternoon, some Sunday. The other 4 blue ones as well. Those are just I already packed them in a container under my bed, and I don't want to dig them out. Because my next immediate spin will be this. This is the Corriedale. I ended up with one little mini bat. These are a little, wonky, but I think they'll spin just fine. They'll end up being a little more lofty than, more like a woolen spun than a worsted. This is the cashmere. It just fluffed up like crazy. This is just 2 ounces of cashmere, about 60 grams. So I don't know whether I'm going to spin that 2-ply or 3-ply, figuring that out. And then these are the 4-ounce roving braids which turned out weren't 4 ounces. They were actually 100 grams. They are labeled 4 ounces, but they're 100 grams. So 200-gram braids with 20% of the mohair added to them. Oh, also the the Corriedale has 20% of pink mohair added in as well. This is going to be my next spin. In fact, if my spinning wheel was empty, these would go there. These would be on it right now. And then after these, I'm going to do these, I think. And then this is quite a lot. This will end up being, it's 45 grams of mohair and then 200 grams of targhee. So together it's like 250 or so grams of fiber. So that will, and I don't know whether I'm going to do a 2-ply or a 3-ply with those. But they're just going to be really beautiful and blendy. I mean, these were the easiest bats to make because the roving was completely lined up and all the fibers were pretty much aligned versus like these where they were crisscrossing and going every which way, which means they'll be very lofty for a spin. So there you go. That's my production, my mini bat production. And it's spun up into a thick thin, mostly because, like, you can see those clumps, mostly because it was my first time scouring and I ended up felting some of it. So I think I ended up with some second cuts and stuff in there that were just these little felty neps that I just left in there in the bat and stuff. But it's really pretty. And my last spin is the cashmere that I also made into mini bats. I have the cashmere completely spun. I just haven't wound it off and soaked it yet. I just finished it this morning. But that was a really fun spin. I ended up chain plying this, so it's a 3-ply, and it's probably going to be a sport weight. But it's really pretty. I really like it. This will end up being like a contrast color in some other project, I think. Or it could be, I probably have enough for a hat. This was my first time spinning cashmere, and it was pretty interesting. You can spin cashmere very, very fine, because it's a very, very fine fiber. And it's so soft too. And I probably have more yardage on here than I think. Like, if this were wool, I could tell you that this is probably a couple 100 yards. Like, this is what, like, 50 grams of wool looks like. But this is actually 65 grams, 64 grams of cashmere. And it is probably a lot more yardage than what 50 grams or 60 grams of wool would end up being. I think that's just how it works with the finer fibers. They take up less space, but you get the same, like, volume, I guess is what it is. So the volume of finer fibers is either more or smaller or bigger. I just can't think which one it is. If you know, please comment below and let us all know. Put me out of my misery trying to figure that out. Because I think if I just would spend some time thinking about it, I could figure it out. But I don't want to. You don't need to watch me puzzle that out. It's all good. And I think that is it. That is all I have to share with you craft-wise. I am tiptoeing closer and closer to my kitchen, to getting my kitchen done. That was something that someone had asked me about on my last Knitter's Life episode, So yeah, the kitchen is getting closer. The permits have been filed. The town has asked a couple questions that my contractor is working on. He asked me for some documents. I asked him for some documents because my co-op board needs to approve the work, which they're pretty easy. They're not going to deny me or anything because I'm not doing anything major that would impact the building. I'm not doing anything that would impact the building. So it should, and it's all like improvements. So yeah, so it's getting closer. I'll probably, I am flying to Texas for my granddaughter's birthday in 10 days, and I think what's going to happen is when I get back, the work is going to start. They may even want to start before because they have to do some really not very sexy upgrades to my electric panel. So my electric panel needs some upgrades, and they're going to upgrade the electric in the whole apartment, which should make my apartment more efficient electric wise, which will be great. So it's, you know, it's this kind of behind the scenes work that's necessary, but not visible to the eye. Only visible in my bank account, I hope. So yeah, that's coming up pretty soon. Hopefully he'll be done before Christmas. If he's still here working on stuff around the holidays, I already decided I'm not going to bother to decorate at all, decorate the house or put up my tree, because there just won't be any room. Because basically where I'm sitting and where me and Martha are is where all of my kitchen is going to go. It's all going to just get piled in this corner. And I'll probably make my video from the other side of the table, which is fine. It's just a little bit darker over there, so I'll be using my studio lights. And yeah, so it's just not going to be easy to decorate around with the stuff all here. And then actually when he's done with the kitchen, what I'm hoping he'll do is renovate my closets, because if you have been here since I moved into the place a couple years ago, that is something that I've wanted since day one to have done. I wanted the closets renovated, and I wanted the doors to be opened, to put bigger doors in, taller doors and wider doors, so that I had more full access to all of the shelving that is in the closet. And one closet is cedar lined, and it's old cedar, so it's not, you can't even smell it. It looks like junk. It just looks like junky old wood. And they've put a lower ceiling in that closet than the ceilings in the apartment by 2 feet, so I lose 2 feet of storage, the entire size of the closet, which really sucks. So I just need him to take all that out and put in sheetrock. And then he's also going to give me a new bathroom door, which is in the same hallway. So that like the whole front part of the apartment, the kitchen and hallway will all get renovated over the next like 3 or 4 months, I suppose. So yeah, one of my cats is just laying on this toy, and it just keeps going off, and I hope it's not too annoying for you. I will take a little clip of it so you can see what has been happening in the background of this whole entire video. But otherwise, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you're well. I hope your knitting is inspiring you and keeping you going, because it's gonna get cold soon if it's not cold where you are already. If it is already, I am just so jealous. So anyway, take care. Bye.